Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever part of the world you're watching from. I'm Pastor Obi. Welcome to my podcast. And in today's episode, we've got a topic that is a bit controversial that we're going to look at when it comes to issues facing widows, especially in Africa, due to the culture and possibly stigmatization a lot of widows face. And I've got a lovely woman on set with me today. And we're going to have a chat and she's going to bear it all. So make sure you listen. So if you're not subscribed or if you're not following me yet, please do that as soon as you can. Like, share, comment. We're also going to take your questions off the comment section and ask her or whoever that is on the panel that you want to speak with. I'm going to let her introduce herself. She's Margaret Ubeze.
Hi, good morning. So thank you so much, Pastor B, for having me on this podcast. My name is Margaret Ubeze. I'm many things. I wear many hats. So I'm an executive assistant in a company. I'm also I'm a certified life coach. I'm also, a writer and storyteller. I'm a mother. I'm a mother to a teenager. My son is 17. I've been a widow for 15 years. We met in school. Yeah, so we were...
What school is that?
University of Benin, Uniben. After we started dating, I realized that he was a year my junior in university. So he was in year 3 and I was in year 4. Okay. He was older than me. He was 5 years older than me. And there's a story to that why he was still in school at that time. But we dated for 6.5 years and we were married for 3. So we had 9.5 years together. So you can imagine that we were best friends.
Beautiful love story,
Like a week or so later, he asked me out. We had married, had our first son, an only child actually. Yes, he did have some health issues. He had high blood pressure, he had diabetes, but it wasn't life-threatening. The year he died was 2009, I believe. We went for a wedding of his cousin, and then that night, we actually had a misunderstanding. So I was angry with him and I went, I was angry and I slept in the parlor. He slept in the room. And then around 4 a.m. in the morning, he woke up to go and ease himself, right? You know how, in your sleep, I opened my eyes, I saw him pass, he went, peed, went back into the room and slept. I now got up and followed him because our son was on the bed. And you know how it is with guys. I didn't just want him to suffocate the little boy without knowing. And true, the funny thing was his hand was on our son. I moved his hand away from on top of him. I moved his hand away. He was already back into his sleep. And I went back to the parlor and I slept. And then in the morning, my son woke up, came out. He was a toddler then. He was just 2. Because he's a diabetic, we hardly ate fried food in the house. But that day I felt we haven't eaten fried yam in like forever. So let me make fried yam. And because of the way our relationship with the quarrel of the day before was basically forgotten. But I went to the kitchen, I cut the yam. I was not like, okay, I cut a little for him, but I was like, let me go and ask him if he wants a plate full, basically. Right? And meaning that because he was on insulin, meaning that he may have to up his insulin dosage a bit. But, those were the kind of thoughts running through my mind when I went to the room, and immediately I touched him. I knew he was gone because rigor had already set in. A doctor friend of mine said that time you saw him at 4, his system was shutting down. And maybe that's why he even needed to pee. Something was going on then. And because he said for rigor to have set in, that was like 3 hours after you had seen him. He must have died shortly after you saw him, and I was like, what happened? When immediately I entered the room, I realized he's still in the position, I moved his hand and his hand hadn't moved. Again, he was still in that exact same position. So I took note of that, and then I wanted to shake his leg, like, "Hey, bros, wake up, we need yam," and he was stiff. And I was like, no, no, and unfortunately, he was the fourth death in their family in 4 years. And so this was the fourth person dying in the fourth year, and I was just like, no, no, and I ran out. Now, his two younger sisters were living with us at the time. So, I don't remember this as like this, but they were telling me what happened. They said I ran out. I was doubled over. I was gasping for breath. I couldn't breathe. And then they came out. They were like, what is it? What is it? They thought I was having something like an asthma attack or something. And I couldn't breathe. And I now finally was able to work up the words to say, I said, but I knew. I said, I think Trix is dead. The good thing was, because of the wedding that we had the day before, a lot of the extended family were in Lagos, and most of them don't stay in Lagos. So I started calling, and everybody was preparing to go for the Thanksgiving service. Do you get? And then I finally got one, and I just said it straight out, like, Trix is gone. And I could hear the screams on that end. And then, one of the cousins lived in Surulere with us, that's near us. They were on their way to the church already. They turned around, they called them. So they turned around and came. So within like 20 minutes, people started coming. All the cousins, they all came, they were coming. That time when I touched his leg and I knew he was gone, I went hot. Like, there was this hot wave that went through me. Then I went cold. So I went hot, then cold. Then I told someone, I said, fear. I felt a fear so tangible that it was tangible.
Yeah.
A fear, it was tangible. I've never felt that again, ever. But at that moment, I was gripped with fear. It was a deep, almost a physical fear, And so that day, and a neighbor, like 2-3 houses away, there was this doctor that was an elderly doctor that was Chick's friend. He came over, he checked him, he certified him dead. He actually gave us because he ran a clinic from his house, he gave us a death certificate even there. Then he was moved to Luz. They called ambulance and all whatnot and moved his body. I later heard that one of the big cousins went to meet the doctor. The doctor was the one telling me months later that, do I know that one of the cousins, she said, how had they been treating you? I said, oh, fine, no problem with the family. He said, eh. I said, why are you asking? He said that one of the cousins came and met him that day and asked him that, please, one-on-one, he should tell him if there were signs of foul play. The chicks look poisoned. I was like, for real, like I was too shocked, like, foul play. So someone actually thought I killed him, I was like, what? Like, what? And luckily for me, thank God for the family. Anyway, I did tell them, I said, please, an autopsy needs to be done. And we're like, why? And I was like, I need to have something to tell my son. Besides saying he slept and didn't wake up, I need to say something. Long and short of it, he died of a heart attack. So that was it. That was the story of how he died. It was such a shock. It was so unexpected. I'm the kind of person that I'm very conscious of time. I'm very conscious of dates. Things like that just stick to me with me. The year or two before, that was the year I turned 30. So the year or two before, from like 28, I was already planning for my 30s. I was on a course to somewhere, and it completely threw me off. That is, I'm off trajectory, derailed every plan. Even up to now, I look and I'm like, I haven't even gotten back to that plan. I haven't gotten back there to where the plan was. I haven't been able to get back there, really. But a lot has happened. All right. So I think, let me now give you space for questions.
Wow. First,
Yeah.
you're very, very, very courageous. Thanks for sharing your story. You know, I can't imagine. If I say I can imagine, then I'll be lying. I can't imagine what that day felt like and how it has been since. And that is the next question I want to ask. You know, how have you coped with the loss?
First of all, one of the first challenges I faced was financial. About 2 years, yeah, after he died, I was homeless. I had to squat with my friends and with my son for like 8 months, right? And then the job I had actually left it, and there was a point in all that I was looking for work, and I didn't have a job for a period of about 8 months. That was like one of the toughest times in my life, and I was squatting with my friend. Now, that family, they were a beautiful family, wonderful family. The husband, my best friend then, her husband knew him, so they were friends. I know the guy was fine with us living with them forever, but do you know that their landlord took an exception to my son and I staying in their house? He thought they sublet to us, which they didn't. We were staying there free. Got a job, was able to get a loan and get my own place. A small place. I didn't really like it, but I mean, it was my own place, and that happened in the first 3-4 years of that loss. So there was the financial aspect of things. There was the period when I didn't have a job. I remember one day there was a friend of mine, he was passing, and that day I was so broke. I didn't have money. I didn't have 5 naira. I didn't have water. I didn't have anything in the house. And then he was passing by and he tells me, remember that Astro Margaret now lives here. And he came in, said hi, just that small, and then he was leaving. And he said, oh, I want to drink water. Please, can I have water? And I said, no, I don't have water. It was like, pure water, Jare, give me one. Don't worry, it's not bottled water I'm asking for, pure water. I said, I don't have. He said, I can't buy. I said, I don't have money. He said, 5 naira. He was, and I said, I don't have. And the guy was like, are you kidding me? I said, I'm not working. I'm in the process of looking for work. He said, so you don't have 5 naira to buy me pure water? I said, no. And he was looking at me. And I said, look, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have a sugar daddy. Nothing. Yes, I have a church. They support me. But I mean, how much? Right? And he left. And he said, I'm coming. He went. But I still remember what he bought. A bag of pure water, 1 loaf of bread, and about 6 Indomie. And he brought it, Indomie noodles, and he brought it to the house. He said, I don't have money. I mean, I just went out to hang out with my friends. I'm on my way home. And I just stopped by to say hi. He said, I wish I don't have money on me. This is just what my money could buy. And I said, believe me, this is more than enough. This is so much. So there was a time that the challenge was financial. Then there was the emotional aspect of things. I was young. I was 30 when he died. About a year later, I met this lovely young guy. Now I think back, one major issue, he was a year younger than me. And at the time, I could not just fathom myself being with someone younger than me, even if it was for 6 months. As I've grown older, now age doesn't matter. But at the time, it did. And then we were friends and we were getting serious, and then I kind of ended it with the guy. And part of why I ended it with him was, 1, the age thing. 2, I had just gotten born again and I felt he was going to distract me. And then 3, I was afraid. I already liked him, and I'm like, I'm going to now fall in love with this guy. If something happens to him, I'll just die. Do you get, I can't deal, right? So that was
So it's like the phobia
and,
that
yeah,
it might just happen again.
And I will not lie to you. Do you remember Pastor Taiwo Odukoya?
Yes.
When his second wife died, I cried. I cried for him. I was like, that is a widower's worst nightmare.
Fear. Yes.
That the second person you married died I cried on his behalf. I know when a year plus after he died,
Mm.
there was this rumor. They were saying the family said he died of heartbreak. It made sense to me. I said, of course he would die of heartbreak, man. That guy, that his second wife dead would have broken him. What are people saying? Forget he's a strong man of God, everything. He's a human
He's
being,
still a man,
man.
yes.
And they built a good, they had a good thing going, you know. So when she died, even me, I felt her death on his behalf, because I was like, whoa, that's just the worst thing that can happen. I tell people that if you hear some of my conversations with God, one of the things I've told God, I said, Father, if I'm marrying again, no, I am not burying a second husband. I must die before my husband. I've told God, though, I said, please, Father, if I marry again, I beg you, let me die before. He will bury me, I will not bury him. I've buried one, is more than enough for me. I don't need to go through that experience ever again. You know, and a lot of people think that this is something unspoken. Sometimes, you know, some people think that, oh, when a woman is widowed, feel like say she get bad luck, sha.
That's
bad luck
part of the
follow this woman.
Yes.
You get, and
Then if
so
it dares happen the second time, they'll be like, we said it. That is a witch.
Yes, then if a guy makes mistake to want to go to you, they'll say, uncle, you're not serious. So it's like you want to die. Our first husband died. The second one died. You're still carrying yourself to go there. If you die, we won't come and eat rice for your head, though. We want you now. You know, and that's also how Nigerians and I think even Africans think.
Yes.
Like, so, and that's why I said it's one of the biggest nightmares and fears that even the men, they don't, they fear it, or like, I'll marry again and woman will come and die. And I think it also factors into why when widowers marry, the ones I've seen, they marry women so much younger than them. It's very annoying. Maybe because they feel let the numbers game work in our favor. I mean, by the time I'm marrying a 20-something-year-old, say now before she dies, hopefully. And this guy might be in his late 30s or early 40s.
Yeah.
And he's marrying a 23, 24-year-old. You know, and maybe he might even have one or two widow friends who are in their 30s, but he would rather go to the 20-something-year-old. You know? And I think somewhere at the back of their mind, it's so that let's just take it. We don't want to lose this one, you know, and all that. There's always that fear.
Just that fear.
You know, there's that fear. It's there. And for me, the first few years after my husband died, like 3 years, it took me about 3 years to get to the point where I said, okay, I'm now 33. I'm getting older. My son is growing. You know, I need someone. He needs someone. He needs a father figure, you know, and all that. And it took me those 3 years to get to the point where emotionally I was even ready, and mentally I was even ready for a relationship.
So for you, it took 3 years for you to get there. Yes. So after 3 years, we are like, okay, I can start looking at men. And did you?
With the eye of maybe I can marry.
Did you?
Yeah, I've had in between then
how were
and
experiences
now,
like?
Drama between then and now, I've had about 4 or 5 serious relationships, and this is where my son factors in. I always wanted him to be part of it, so if he says a no
at
to
that
a guy
age,
he didn't like,
5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Yes, if he didn't like him, sorry, it's not going to happen. You know, if they didn't have a good relationship, it won't happen. So,
but were the men willing to go further with the relationship? Okay.
Yes.
Were they single, young? When I mean single, as they've never married before. Were they young or older?
Of all the guys, only one was a widow. Out of, let's say, 4, only one was a widower.
Okay.
The other guys were young guys, you know, had never married.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just take you very quickly through. Let's just go
Okay.
with
Yeah,
alphabet.
yeah,
So guy A was that guy that came to my house and I didn't have anything.
yeah. Okay.
But it took him like a year before he asked me out. He didn't ask me out immediately. We just maintained a friendship. He stayed in touch, and then we started dating. But soon after, we broke up. Why? Because of faith reasons. Now, a year, a lot of people they see me and they say, "Oh, Margaret, you're so strong. You're so this." But that wasn't how I felt. Even up to now, sometimes that's still not how I feel. So that first year, I felt like I was like broken glass inside. I was dying and crumbling. And at the first year, I took a retreat. I went away for like a week. I left my son with my sister in laws. I went away for like a week to a quiet hotel and I just looked at my life critically. And I said, okay, first things first, I need God. Now, I was a Catholic for 31 years. But when Chicks and I started dating, and Chicks came from an Anglican home, he had agreed, okay, we'll become Catholic. I came from a very strong Catholic home. But what happened was when we got married, he did not come to church with me. And then I did now not go to church. So for most of our marriage, we barely ever went to church. In fact, Sunday was our day. Sunday was our day of rest. Sunday was the day to settle quarrel. Sunday was the day to talk about
I
the
like
last week
the
and the
settle
week to
quarrel
come.
part.
Yeah, so Sunday was our day. Yes, I'm serious. There were times like during the week, some issues will come up we need to discuss. We said, you know what, this is a topic for Sunday. You get that was how it was. Or would trash this topic, would talk about this thing come Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we always had an agenda for Sunday.
Mm,
Sunday was a
mm.
lazy day, take our time, getting up, have breakfast, then settle down, maybe watch a movie, then start bringing up the various issues, that needed to be talked about. So, but I knew that I needed to get back to God, right? So, and I told someone that so many things happened. I left the Catholic Church and went to the church, and that's my church that I'm going to even now.
What church?
A lot of things is called Heritage Assembly, and I mean, that was the first time I was going there, but there's a whole story to how I got to that church. But at the end of the day, at the 1 year mark, I at that retreat, I made up my mind that I needed God. I did need God. So I dated this guy, but he's not born. In fact, he was Catholic. And for him, we started dating. This is the first guy A. We started dating. Some months down the line, I knew he didn't want to play. We weren't playing. We started talking about, oh, I would love you to meet my family. I would love to meet your family. And I was about, look, we need to have this church thing. No? And he was, he's an Igbo guy. I know how Igbo guys are. He had assumed, it was an assumption that he made that, say, you were Catholic before, and I'm Catholic. When we marry, it's simple now. You're back to Catholic. For him, it was a non-issue not to be discussed, and we had a very big quarrel about it. I was angry that one he didn't see it as what something to be discussed. Though. He really didn't.
Typically
That
woman.
itself was a problem for me.
Typically woman.
He was like, "Ah, now I'm married now. You come back to Cali. What are you talking about? Like church? What? He didn't." So anyway, soon after we broke up, amicably, right? It was an amicable book. But I was like, look, you're not born again, and I beg, I can't. I don't want to go back to the Catholic Church. And you know that this thing has featured even till recently. Anyway, and funny enough, in his own case, he was telling me how his uncle had married a widow and how she brought so much good luck to him. His life changed. He was doing well. His business thrived. And so he was like, my family is going to be very happy. Now, I even had a problem with that because I'm like, so you're ascribing good luck to this woman, meaning that if you marry me and things go wrong, people will still say it's me. Oh. Do you understand? So I was a little worried, but he was coming
That's
from
another
the
fear.
aspect of his family will be happy that he was even bringing another widow into the fold. I'm like, wow. Anyway, we never got there,
Okay.
because of faith differences. Guy number two was a brother. Sometimes when they say do not be unequally yoked there, sometimes I almost have quarrel with that scripture because we've tried brothers in the house and they have not tried. So there
I
was
I
this
agree with.
brother.
I understand that. I understand what you're saying.
Yes, like
100%. Yes.
there was this guy. We met through my neighbor, and lovely guy, born again, worship leader, awesome chap. But he had rough edges, a lot of rough edges, and funny enough, we dated for a while, maybe like 2 years, 2.5. And then the issue was, even we broke up at one point, got back together, got engaged. He asked me to marry him. I said, okay, fine. He had a very good relationship with my son. That was one of the things I loved. When I broke up with him, my son cried and begged on his behalf. Guy number C was the widower,
Okay.
right? Yes, the widower. And we had a mutual friend, and he was in Calabar. I was in Lagos. And I don't like long distance. It never works for me, right? So that was already a bit of a barrier for me. But my friend that introduced us was all, glowy. She was like, he's such a awesome guy, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. And I said, okay, so what's the problem? What is wrong with him? Since you know him and you're the one introducing us, what is wrong with him? And you won't believe what she said. Said, well, the way his wife died, there's mystery around it. Hey, I said, God, this thing is following this guy too. I said, okay, so what mystery? Said she was sick and that nobody expected it. Actually, she had a second child, but the child died, the baby died, and then the mom, no, who died first? The baby died, then the woman died 2 weeks later. And he said it was meningitis. And he was a doctor. Her family openly actually accused him that he was responsible for his wife's death. And he was very pained about it. So this person that was introducing us said that she will not lie, that the way the wife died, everybody's like, 2-3 times over the years, he always got, anytime things were getting serious, by getting serious, I mean, wanted to fix dates or anything, he'll get cold feet, like ice cold feet. And I guess it was some kind of fear or PTSD on his side.
Yeah.
And eventually, the second time when that happened, over the course of some years, because we stayed in touch, I said, you know what? You're the one saying you want to marry me. You're the one that said I want to meet your pastor, I want to meet your brothers. When it's time to fix the date, you start giving me excuses. Let's remain friends. I said, but you're the one I want to marry. I said, uncle, don't you see this marriage talk? I see that it's a problem, it's a stumbling block for you. So I'm going to remove it. Never you in your life bring marriage to me. Ever. And then I will not lie to you, he was very instrumental in something that happened to me this year.
Oh.
And I'll get there.
Okay.
So this was many years ago, and we remained friends, right? Guy number, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, another brother in church, but not my church. He was staying on my street, but very strong, tongue talking, everything you want in a Christian brother, right? We got to be friends. We realized that our offices were on the same street. So we were going to work together, coming back from work together. He lived just a few houses away from me. And then we got close. We go for programs together, church programs together. Sometimes he asked me come and cook for me. And then one day we're talking. I think I wanted to have the talk of some months down the line. Where is all this leading to? And he says, but Margy, you're not my girlfriend. Did I ever ask you out? Excuse me? Like, I was so... And the way he said it, he was a little bit mean about it. He said, well, I didn't ask you out. What was this talk of where is all this going to? It's not going anywhere. Are you serious? So you're wasting my time.
How old was... I understand if a 20-some-year-old man says that. Because he's still a
At
young
this
man.
time, I was in my 30s and he was in his 30s. He
When
was.
he's grown now, he should know that it's not a game now. That is not.
I was so I was so pained. And that was a toxic, for me, that was a very toxic relationship because I didn't end it that day. Oh. We remained friends. And then one day, some months till then, we're still going to work together. Well, he was helping me because I was saving money on transportation and all that. It was convenient. And then some months down the line, one day he stops the car and he says, Margaret, I want to ask you something. It's very serious. And I was like, okay, what? And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, maybe he's decided to have a relationship with me or whatever. And he says, there are these two ladies. I want to marry. I don't know which one to choose. Help me choose. Exactly. That was how I felt. I was like, okay, let me hear the stats. He gave me the stats. I told him why I preferred. What do you want? What he told me. I think you should marry this other one, and that's who he married. Actually,
So these four guys now, are they all married now?
I'll come to
Oh,
that.
okay.
So I'll come to that. So this guy number four, yeah, he married this lady. They have a child now, and then guy number five. So eventually in fact, he was the one relationship that the guy was, he wasn't too close to my son. He felt I was too open with him. He felt you tell him too many things. He was the one guy that he and my son didn't fully gel. He wasn't bad to my son, but they weren't for pals. The other guys, oh, they connected with my son very well. And then guy number five was a mutual friend. And I'm sure when you hear this podcast, he may even hear it, or when you get, because I think we have so many mutual friends, and you may even be one of them. Really.
Oh.
And yeah, and then he we started dating, but if I'll call it that. But the faith thing, because again, he's Catholic. I'm born again, and I was like, look, this thing, I don't want to go back to the Catholic Church. In fact, ideally, I'll say I want a guy that is born again. But you know what? I'm going to even waive that. Let's just we could never get to the middle ground, because he told me that, look, I also don't want to marry someone and we're going to separate churches. I don't want that. So we're going to get married. You have to come to the church with me, and we both stuck to our guns. Another thing is, I met this guy late 2020, post COVID, right? And by then I was like 40 or so. Yeah. I was like, in all honesty, right now I don't want more kids. Maybe because of you, be one, but I would rather not. Which I felt was okay, maybe unfair on my part, because he's never been married. He's in his 40s. He was a year older than me. Never been married, no children, he said, as far as he knows. And then he says, but I don't want one, I want three. Uncle, now I'm not doing three. Oh. Like, hey, you need no money. You got nothing. Me, three. Another guy, but I guess he was also trying to be honest with me. Would have said, okay, Margaret, you said one child. Let's do one. Maybe even in his mind, he has in mind that we'll have the two or three. But at least show a little concession. He bluntly told me that he wants at least three children. I said, brother, but I'm 40. In fact, 42 at this point. You know who is doing three children? My son is up right now. Dom, my son has left secondary school. Then he was in his senior secondary. My God, I should start carrying babies. I can't, and so that was how last year, around this time last year, we agreed that, you know what, this is just really not going anywhere. And we're friends, but you get.
Yeah.
So now, guy A, he married, had a child. We remain friends, and I want to answer something because you had sent me the questions
Yeah.
about society and people being nasty. His wife was never comfortable with our friendship because we remain friends.
Okay.
And one day, down not too long ago, like maybe 2, 3 years ago, she sent me a text and said, "Look, oh Margaret, if you're looking for a man, no, leave my own alone. Go and marry your own husband. Hey, I forwarded the text to her. This is what your
Women.
wife is telling me.
Women.
Go, I'm your friend. Wait, I'm coming. So that was, so I will talk to her. I said, that's not necessary. I should go and look for my husband and marry because I talked to you. I beg, bros. And because of it, I spaced him. And then guess what happened? He died and I didn't know. He died last year. This year, on his birthday, I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. I went online, I went on his WhatsApp because I hadn't talked to him in forever. I went on his WhatsApp and noticed it was offline, which is so like unlike him. He's always online. And then I went to his Facebook and met the shocker of my life. His obituary was there. He had been dead and buried for months, and I didn't know. I was so shocked. I was like, see me. While I was trying to respect everybody's wishes, I'm not coming to take your husband from you.
The woman, the way this life is now, the woman is not going to face.
Yeah.
That's the way this life
She is. Yeah, and she's young. That's the thing. She's actually young with it. Their son is about 7 now. Yeah.
If you don't have
was
concrete
Guy
proof of something going on, to start with, why sorry, this is not out of what we're talking about. I still can't understand why women fight women. Why won't the woman confront the husband?
Yeah, exactly.
Confront
And
the
when it comes to
husband.
all these widowhood rights in the village, it's the women that are the enforcers. The cutting of
Yeah,
the hair,
it's
the
true.
bathing and drinking
It's
the
true.
dead bodies' water. It's the women in the village that enforce it, though, not the men. It's the women that are the enforcers, It's just crazy. So that was A guy. A guy B, um, he married, right? He married, he went
Did you
abroad.
say that this person is guy A, the one you just talked about now, the woman?
Yes.
Oh, that was the guy. Ah.
Yeah. We
Oh.
remain friends all this while. That's why I said I maintain friendships. It's just that
Yeah.
after his wife sent that message, I
Oh.
spaced him.
Oh.
So I hadn't talked to him in a long time.
Now,
Less than a year.
can you see how God works? One of your prayers is that you don't want this to happen again.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Now, imagine the kind of blow it would have been.
It would have been horrible. Yeah.
You might never have recovered from the PTSD.
I would not. I would not have.
Because the Bible is clear. The Bible says affliction will not come a second time. At times, when things we want to work doesn't work, we're like, God, why? It's preventing something in the
Well,
future.
yeah,
You never
seeing the
know.
front. So true. So true. So the second guy B relocated.
Okay.
He's married. They have 2 children. We're in touch. We talk once in a blue moon. Because he was very close to my son. So he still follows up what's going on with him and all that. So we're friends. I just know he's married and life is going on for him. Guy 3 was the widower. Aha. We got in touch. Now, one of the things that kept us close was single parenting because he had a daughter that was about 3 years or 4 years younger than Dom. That's my son. So over the years, even after I told him, you know what, never bring marriage up with us. It's like marriage, the M word puts you in I don't know, a one kind way. So let's leave it, let's be friends. But over the months, every few months we keep touch. Oh, how is your daughter? How is Dominic? What's going on? We just keep in touch, right? And then late last year, he called and says, "Oh, I'm going to be in Lagos. It would be nice to see you." And I'm like, "Oh, right, fine, right?" And I'm good. We'll see. And then he comes to Lagos. He came for a conference, and then in those first few days, I didn't see him. I was going to see him maybe towards the ending of the conference. I was planning to go to the conference venue and see him one of those days and we just talk and he'll go back. And then it was his birthday. And I had not been to his Facebook in like years, only for me to go and found out that he had been married and had a 1-year-old. and he didn't tell me, even to that visit. And I was mad. Like, I was so angry. And now, let me back up a little. In August last year, and that other guy had said, you know what, we're just never going to meet anywhere. Middle ground is too far. It's not happening, you know? And so, but I ended the year thinking, and I had told God and myself that, look, if that relationship didn't work, I'm not even going to bother again. Right? But come December, I was like, maybe don't be so final about it. Maybe just keep an open mind. This was my mindset come December last year. And then this was January. And this guy is in town. It's his birthday. And I find out that he's been married and has a 1 year old. And I felt so betrayed and angry. And I didn't tell him anything till that night. I now sent him a chat. I said, Happy birthday. How was the conference today? He said it was fine, it was cool. Looking forward to seeing you later in the week. I said, okay, I want to ask you something. He said, what? I said, you're married. He said, yes. I said, but why didn't you tell me? We've been talking.
Was there anything
We talk
sexual
every
going
two-
on with you both?
Sorry?
Was there anything sexual going on between you both, whether offline or online? Okay.
No.
With any of the five, did anything of that sort happen?
Yes.
With all of them apart from this one.
Let me think. Yes, I'm trying. Yes. Let me just say yes.
Okay.
Right? So, but with this guy, no. Maybe because of the distance, Remember, was in Cross River. I'm in Lagos. So. And then after his whole marriage PTSD, really, we just remained friends and we used to talk. But I was just mad at him. And I told him, I said, but I now said, so why didn't you tell me? He said our gist never got there. I said, you cannot be serious because I always ask you. Anytime we connect, I say, so how far? Have you married now? And you will tell me no. You can't tell me that in the last year and half, I've not asked you at least twice if you married. He kept quiet. I said, so what did you think? Did you think I'm not waiting for? Say it's you that you wanted to marry, you were getting whatever, and I told you to. It's me that said leave up, never bring marriage to my side. I was not waiting for you to marry me. That's number one. Number two, what did you think? I felt like, that means you don't see me as a friend, and that means you don't trust me.
Yeah.
That's what I told him. I said, for you not to tell me. You didn't tell me you married, you didn't tell me you've had a child. That means you don't trust me, or you think I'm going to do something bad to your wife and your child. He kept quiet. And I blocked him. I said, I have a good life. I wish you well. Have a good life. And I ended that call and I blocked him. And I will not lie to you. That night I said, you know what? Men folk, you guys should carry your wahala, your complexities, and go.
We're not like that. All of us are not like
I'm
that.
not like you. This thing has anger. I've recounted this story like 20 times. Because I'm still very angry. I'm still very angry at the guy. Like, maybe because also he's a widower. He should know better. He should know better. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't. What is it? Do you understand? So for me, it was just a betrayal. Because of that, your post that I responded to.
Yeah.
That your post that you said widows that want to marry.
A lot of people have contacted you.
Have contacted me, and one actually has been following up. But I told him, I said, look, uncle, I don't have the energy or the strength for a relationship. And then it's long distance because he's in Enugu and Lagos. I can't deal.
More will still contact you by the time this airs.
Recently, he said, hey, let's be friends. I said, okay, let's be friends. He now traveled somewhere in this protest week. You know, said, Margaret, you didn't ask me how I'm doing. I said, see, you see now. When I told you I have no energy.
I'm dancing.
For
more will still come.
I beg you. I don't. It's this whole, how are you? Have you eaten? I don't have that power.
Okay, would you rather you meet them today, then next week you're like, okay, we are coming to see your parents, somebody you don't know.
No, I don't want even that. See, I'm at the place where I decided in January that, you know what, I'm going to stay single
Of
and maybe die single, and I'm good. Over the years, it's been
course,
15 years.
of course.
In between these relationships I've called, have been periods of nobody,
Hmm.
right? In between these five relationships
Of course.
have happened, and there are gaps.
Mm-hmm.
There are seasons, months, years
Mm,
where there's nobody in my
mhm,
life, and it's lonely.
mm.
And there's something that they say in church sometimes, which I look with side eye and I keep quiet. They say, yeah, as a Christian, you shouldn't feel lonely. You have the Holy Spirit. Yes, but it's lonely. You can't, I don't argue with people. There's no
We
need.
are still humans. God Himself said, it is not good for man
Man
to be alone. Now, although that usually when I preach from that, I make it clear that aloneness is not loneliness. They're two different things based on some things. But there's
Yeah.
something God was talking about there. No human being was made and created to be an island. That is the truth.
Yeah.
We are all created to be wired to someone else.
Yes.
We are all connected. Whether we like it or not, we are all connected because all of us had an original parent. That is the connection.
Yeah.
Not only that, God put a bit of Himself in every human being. So because of that, we are connected somehow. That is why it's really, really demonic, the spirit of hate that we see through racism, tribalism, even religious bigotry and all that. But because humans, are meant to connect. That's why we have a community.
Yeah.
So nobody's an island, and we've got that as a saying, and that's the truth. Nobody is supposed to live alone and survive alone. You can't even survive alone. So it's real.
So sometimes when they say all those things in church, I'm like, do you know what? I'm the one that is the widow here. Let me keep quiet. Oh yeah, I've heard. We should not be lonely. Okay, no problem. You're not here when it's raining. The weather is cold. I wake up in the night, I'm shivering, and I look around. I'm like, of course, maybe never has taken light. I'm alone in the dark, cold. It makes you feel the aloneness. Do you get? And that then leads to the loneliness. I agree with you. There are two different things. Being alone and loneliness are two different things. But it will point out, you will realize that true, I'm alone. Right? So, and then we live in a coupled up world. So you look around and everybody is two, 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 two. And then you're you.
Thanks for watching. I'm continuing my conversation with Marge next week, and she's got a whole lot to share. So make sure you don't miss it. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please do that and hit the bell icon. If you're not following me yet, please click on the follow button. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.